Howdy, my name is Will Buchanan and I'm walking across the country on the Walk for Liberty. Today is day 141, September 21st, 2008. I was scheduled to have another TV news interview today. A reporter from the Mankato CBS affiliate was going to drive out and interview me while I was on my walk this morning. However, because of something which coincidentally happened right next to where we were parked last night, the interview was postponed. Last night, Brooke had a dream that there was a shooting and that we all had to duck down in the RV to hide. She then woke up to see over a dozen police officers and squad cars outside, not far from where we were parked. And they seemed to be searching around with spotlights for something. This morning, I called the reporter to see what was going on, and he told me that there had actually been a shooting not far from where we were. But that unfortunately he wouldn't be able to come out and interview me as planned because he was waiting patiently for a call from the police commissioner to see if there was a press conference on the shooting. I guess if it bleeds, it really does lead. I decided to stop and take a break as I was walking by the campground we're going to be staying at tonight,
When we start singing this song, I would like
where a powwow is currently being held.
And help him dance. Hello, Doc asked.
Wow, that's quite a deal. Good words to live by. At the powwow, Brooke was noticing all the young children and babies that were there. She said it kind of reminded her of Hawaii. She was saying that there were so many kids at the powwow that she would like to adopt one of them. And in fact, we have discussed the possibility of adoption in the future, although I personally wouldn't want to be involved with any kind of governmental adoption process. I understand that most adoption agencies are private, although I can't imagine they're not highly regulated and ultimately get their approval through the government. Why does the government even need to be involved in adoption? If somebody wants to give their child up to somebody else for adoption, why can't they just write up an agreement and not even go through the government? Perhaps it's because the government thinks it needs to know because it's involved in recording births. But why does it even need to be involved in that? Some might argue that it's for safety reasons. That if the government didn't record your child's birth, somebody would just be able to kidnap your child and you wouldn't be able to prove you were the parent. But there's no reason that one or more private third-party agencies couldn't fulfill that role. So perhaps ultimately, like so many other things the government is involved in, it's all about control. Maybe the government wants to record births so that it can know who exists, and therefore who it can tax later on in their lives. But getting back to the issue of adoption, I much prefer the idea of free market adoption, where the government is not involved at all. And in fact, Brooke and I know someone who engaged in a free market adoption. For security reasons, I'll refer to this person as Pat, so as not to even reveal the person's gender. Pat had traveled to a foreign country with Pat's significant other, Chris. While there, they encountered a family which had more kids than they could or wanted to take care of. The family agreed to give one of their children to Pat and Chris to take back to America to live with them, and they wrote up and signed an agreement. Pat and Chris were and still are understandably nervous though, because they didn't go through legitimate government channels. Yet, both parties did indeed agree to the arrangement. Another possibility, though, if you don't want to find and deal with another family directly like that, would be to go through a free market adoption agency, which may or may not yet exist. The way I envision free market adoption agencies is that they could act as a network to help existing and prospective adoptive parents to find each other. They could even vet the prospective adoptive parents based on various criteria, the way governmental adoption agencies currently do. But ultimately, it would be the existing parents who would make the decision and have the final interactions with the adoptive parents. The agency wouldn't be involved at that point, thereby circumventing any government regulations. That concept could possibly even be extended to foster care. Brooke and I have also considered having foster kids at some point. However, from what I understand, the foster care system is not just regulated by the government, it actually is the government. And unfortunately for the kids I would be helping to take care of, I don't want any part in that, including all of the fingerprinting, poking and prodding, and probably even DNA sampling that the government would be doing on me. Adoption and foster care placement should be handled by companies operating in the free market, which are more answerable to consumers and are therefore incentivized to do a much more responsible job than a bunch of unaccountable bureaucrats are. I walked exactly 21 miles today, and here are my GPS coordinates. This is Will Buchanan for Amazon.walkforliberty.com, signing off. We finally managed to get the interview arranged, and he's setting up his camera now.